All right, let's just get right into it. Back in 2009, the world's most popular open-source database was in serious, serious trouble. The engine that powered pretty much the entire internet was about to be sold to the one company that had every reason to want it dead.
So on one side, you've got MySQL, the open-source darling, the M in the lamp stock that built the modern web. And on the other side, you've got Oracle, the great white shark, the corporate behemoth known for its powerful, very expensive, and very, very closed-source software. These two were oil and water, representing totally different philosophies.
And then this bomb drops. Oracle announces it's buying Sun Microsystems. Now, why does that matter? Because just a year before, Sun had gobbled up MySQL. So suddenly, the biggest predator in the ocean is about to swallow its most popular and, this is the key part, free competition.
To really get why everyone was freaking out, you gotta understand how MySQL got so big in the first place. This wasn't just some side project. This thing was a revolution.
It all kicks off in '95. The creator, Monty Widenius, names it after his daughter, My. Cute, right? Fast forward to the mid-2000s, and it's everywhere. Then 2008, Sun Microsystems drops $1 billion on it. $1 billion! Everyone's cheering, thinking, hey, open source has made it, for about 5 minutes.
And that brings us to the question that sent a cold shiver down the spine of every developer on the planet. Why in the world would Oracle, a company that makes its fortune selling expensive, proprietary databases, keep a super powerful free alternative alive and kicking? The fear was obvious, right? They'd either let it wither on the vine or slowly strangle the free part out of it.
But Monty, the creator, he wasn't just going to sit back and watch his baby get assimilated by the Borg. Nope. He was ready to stage a mutiny, and he had the perfect weapon to do it.
And that weapon was the license, the GPL. See, the whole magic of the general public license is this little thing called the right to fork. It's a legal guarantee. It says, hey, you can take all of this code, copy it, and start your own thing. It's baked right in.
So that is exactly what he did. He takes the MySQL source code, hits copy-paste, and then, in this perfect poetic move, he names the new project after his other daughter, Maria. And just like that, MariaDB is born. This isn't stealing, by the way. This is using the rules of the game, the rules of open source, to your advantage.
Now here's where the plan gets really, really slick. Monty and his crew didn't just make a new database. They made what's called a binary drop-in replacement. What does that mean? It means you could literally uninstall MySQL, install MariaDB, and that's it. Your application code didn't have to change a single line. Your tools, your connectors, everything, it just worked. It was an incredibly gutsy move. It was basically saying, forget them. We are the real MySQL now.
So this just threw down the gauntlet. The whole tech world had to pick a side. Are you sticking with Team Oracle, or are you jumping on the lifeboat with the original crew? And man, the exodus was something to see.
First to move were the gatekeepers, the big Linux distributions. Fedora, Red Hat, Debian. One after another, they started kicking MySQL out of their default installs and putting MariaDB in its place. That was a huge signal, a massive vote of confidence.
And then the big guns showed up. Wikipedia? Yeah, they switched their whole operation over to MariaDB. And Google, who was already running a heavily modified version of MySQL, started working with the MariaDB folks and moved thousands of their own servers. This wasn't just a protest vote anymore. This was a full-blown migration.
So what happens next? Well, for a little while, they're basically twins. But you can't keep two projects like this identical forever. Over time, they started to drift apart, each forging its own path. For a couple of years, they stayed in lockstep. But then, MariaDB does something really bold. They just jumped their version number straight to 10.0. That was them planting a flag in the ground, saying, we're done being a shadow. We are our own database. We have our own roadmap. Catch up.
And you could see their priorities shift pretty fast. Oracle started pushing MySQL towards their big enterprise cloud stuff, things like HeatWave, all about the money. MariaDB, they stuck to their community roots. Performance, openness, adding new storage engines that people actually wanted, like Aria and Column Store.
So let's be real. That initial fear that Oracle would just delete MySQL from existence, it didn't happen. They've actually kept developing it, and it's a solid product. But, and this is the whole point, the existence of MariaDB created this permanent check and balance. It meant Oracle could never have a monopoly.
there would always be a top-tier, totally open-source escape hatch.
And this is where we get to the real legacy of this whole story. This is bigger than just two databases. It's one of the most important case studies on the power of open source, period.
Think about it. The fork didn't kill the original project. It actually supercharged the whole ecosystem. We went from one great database with a question mark over its head to two world-class databases, both competing, both innovating. That's a win for everybody. More choice, more competition. It's beautiful.
And it really all boils down to this one simple, powerful idea. You can buy the trademark, you can buy the copyright, you can buy the servers, but you cannot buy the community. A company can own the assets, but they never really own the hearts and minds of the people who build and use the software. And if you push that community too far, they have the ultimate power. They can just pick up their ball, the code, and go play somewhere else.